How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.
is the end. There's a noise inside my head of crying people facing death. Is this the end? Is this the end? I'm burning in the stone There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone This is the final What have we done to the world? What have we done to the world? I'm burning in the stone There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone This is the final
Who the fuck is Karlyn? She's just some sweet lady. She's like in a knitting. She does like a knitting stream. She's like a knitting YouTuber. She does knitting.
Can we grow up a little bit and
Alt
not
Girl
be
sent $200.
retarded?
Have you
Please.
seen the work of Karlyn Borysenko? Anti-commie cult leader and is obsessed with looking at what actual far-left communists are talking about and organizing today, infiltrating them. They infiltrated the universities, schools, media. She has the receipts to back it up. Primary source evidence. Infestation is dire and she calls Republicans idiots eating slop. Agree.
Thank you for the big super chat. Yeah, oh, I know Karlyn B. She's solid. She's funny. I
The
like
great
her.
noticer sent $200.
Literally.
So
not
it's,
Ian.
it's not a because I haven't dangled my junk into the combat zone on purpose to get some camera footage, but that's the big part of what's the
Is that
problem.
what you call reporting?
Go
and live
under if
streaming?
you're going to do it.
Yeah,
go
seriously.
undercover. Otherwise, you're wearing a hunk of meat in a lion's den. Nick Shirley, I love you. Take care of yourself, man. Karlyn Borysenko went undercover. Do stuff like that. Like if you want to expose this thing, don't pariah, please.
But Ian, here's and I agree with you to an extent.
And I've learned a lot from Karlyn Borysenko, who goes in undercover with the left. And I've figured out from looking at her work, like when I first saw her stuff, I was like, oh, she knows what she's talking about. I need to like connect with her. And she actually, the first time I got assaulted in 2025, followed me and sent me messages. And she checked on me for months, just privately. It was so nice to have somebody like, are you okay? But I could tell she knew what she was talking about, and I subscribe to her. I look at all her stuff. I've learned so much, and I thought I knew a lot. I've learned so much.
I watch these streams, and I've been watching a self-professed fascist named Karlyn, who drinks and basically roasts these live streams. But weirdly, she has apparently embedded herself with Antifa before. And so it's such a funny stream because like...
So they tolerate her?
Oh, no, not anymore. She like... No. She's like... I mean, I don't know if she's trolling or not, but on her stream, she's like, I am a fascist.
Right.
So she's proudly proclaiming she's a fascist. I don't know how much of that is trolling, how much of it is real, but conservatives who are drawn to her stream will say things like, these people are funded by George Soros. And it's the funniest thing because she gets so mad. And she's like, get off fucking Fox News. Stop watching that shit. It's all wrong. Do these people look funded? Do these people look like they have money? They're not funded. It's so, and I guess her bigger point is by saying these are funded agitators and not saying what they actually are, which is anti-capitalist revolutionaries, you dilute what's really happening. Because what's really happening, according to her, and I think a fair amount of people, is that the economy is so fucked. The middle class is diminishing so much. The cost of living is so high that this is the perfect soil you need if you wanted communism to grow anywhere.
Und weil der Mensch ein Mensch ist, drum braucht was zum Essen, bitte sehr. Es macht ihn ein Geschwätz nicht satt, das schafft kein Essen her. Drum links, zwei, drei, drum links, zwei, drei, wo dein Platz genossen ist, weil ich ein Kind, ja, weil Einheits kommt, weil du auch ein Arbeiter bist. Und weil der Mensch ein Mensch ist, drum hat der Stiefel im Gesicht nicht gern. Er will unter sich keinen Sklaven sehen und über sich keinen Herrn. Drum links, zwei, drei, drum links, zwei, drei, und ein Platz genossen ist, weil ich ein Kind, ja, weiter Einheitsgott, weil du auch ein Arbeiter bist. Und weil der Prolet ein Prolet ist, drum wird ihn kein anderer befreien. Es kann die Befreiung der Arbeiter nur das Werk der Arbeiter sein. Drum links, zwei, drei, drum links, zwei, drei, und ein Platz genossen ist, weil ich kein Ideal weiter Einheitsgrund, weil du auch ein Arbeiter bist.
Здравствуйте, comrades. Welcome to Socialism Saturday. Socialism Saturday is where we watch the real far left, the farthest of the far left, the most dystopian of the dystopian. We are not watching Democrats, liberals, and progressives on Socialism Saturday because Democrats, liberals, and progressives are not socialists and communists. No matter how much Republicans scream it, no matter how much Trump says it, Democrats, liberals, and progressives are not socialists and communists because Democrats, liberals, and progressives want to uphold the capitalist system, whereas socialists and communists want to overthrow or abolish capitalism. And it's July 4th, and so it's a really important day for people to understand that when we say that socialists and communists want to abolish capitalism, what they are talking about explicitly, in no uncertain terms, is the Constitution and the United States of America. They want to we actually, for people who missed Spy Stream the other day, we have a clip. I didn't send it out yesterday because I didn't think people would be paying attention, but I'm going to send it out on Monday. We actually have a clip from the Party for Socialism and Liberation where they explicitly say that their goal is to abolish the Constitution. This is in a private training they gave just the other day. And so just so we're clear, when they say capitalism, they're not talking about seizing the means of production. They are literally talking about abolishing the United States of America. That is what we're talking about. And so I think it's pretty important to actually sit back and listen to what these people have to say, because contrary to what you hear on conservative media, it's actually so much worse than what you think it is. It is so much worse. And so we're going to learn a little bit more about that tonight. But let's get some W's in the chat. We got a W for John. Thank you so much for the channel membership. John, I'm pretty sure it was you, John. It may have been another John. But John, I'm pretty sure this John said to me today on Twitter, he's like, Karlyn, immigrants are supposed to have to pass an English language test to become Americans. And I was like, please remind me to show you guys what the English language test looks like to become an American citizen. Because as it turns out, earlier this year, my husband became an American citizen. And my husband had to take the English language proficiency test. And I have a copy of it because his lawyer gave him a copy of it to practice. So I have seen the immigration English language proficiency test. And I said to Victor, like, he brought it home literally when he took it. So before he became a US citizen, I said, Victor, you have to let me post this on the internet. And he said, Karlyn, can we wait until after I become a US citizen to post the immigration test? Can we just wait until I'm officially a US citizen in order to rail on the government for how simple the English language proficiency test is? You guys are going to be, and I said, yes, Victor, actually, that's quite reasonable. We will wait until after you are a US citizen. And then at some point after that, when all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed and they can't deport you anymore, then we will post the absurdly simple English language proficiency test. Guys, I'm telling you, like, I don't know how stupid you have to be to fail this test, but they have made it damn near impossible for anyone to fail the English language proficiency test. And that's why we're surrounded by brown people who don't speak English. That's why. That's why we are surrounded by brown immigrants that don't speak English, because they don't have to. They really don't have to. They don't have to. So we'll talk more about that. But thank you so much, John. And I gotta remind my husband to give me that test so I can actually post a picture of it, because like you guys, you truly have to see how absurd this test is. It's going to blow your mind. Tolkien fan, it was not 1 but 2 drops of 20 channel memberships. Tolkien fan, currently the big swinging dick of the chat, it was 40 channel memberships right off the bat. Thank you so much for your generosity and your ongoing support, Tolkien fan. Happy 4th of July to you. Happy 250 America to you. I hope you're having a great day. Thank you so much for being an amazing member of the community, getting us started off well. We are already 41% of the way to our channel membership goal. Thank you to Tolkien fan. That was you. That was you. Oh, you're gonna love this. I thought it was you, but sometimes I get people confused. There's so many Johns in the world, but I'm glad I got that one right. Thank you so much for the super chat. So guys, I wasn't even sure if I was going to do a stream today, to be honest, but then I took yesterday off to go on a whale watch with Victor, and that was pretty great because it was 100 degrees here yesterday. I'm like, I live in New Hampshire. I am fucking melting. And Victor happened to have the day off. And so I said, Victor, do you want to go to a really bougie town about an hour away and go on a whale watch? Because when you're out in the ocean, it's about 20 degrees cooler than it is on land. And so I was like, you know what we're going to do on this 100-degree day where I'm a white person. I am not built for 100-degree weather. I'm just not. We're going to go out into the middle of the ocean and we're going to go watch some whales. No, I actually mean whales. I don't mean fat people. We got on a boat. If you've never been on a whale watch, it's super cool, by the way. Like, Victor and I have been on a couple whale watches, and every whale watch you go on is different. So it's like you're not repeating the same thing over and over and over again because you never know exactly what you're going to see on a whale watch. But basically, you get on a boat, and the people on the boat know where the whales are. They know where they feed and stuff like that. And they have all sorts of science that tells them where to go in the ocean. And they drive the boat, 20 miles out to sea or whatever. And then they just follow whales around and you get to see them. And we saw a really big humpback whale. We saw a bunch of other smaller whales that swam right under the boat. It is actually really cool to see because it's so majestic, honestly. So it might sound boring to get out on a boat and like go out to the middle of the ocean to like watch for giant animals. But it was 100 degrees out and it was at least 20 degrees cooler in the middle of the ocean. And so it was really, really nice. It was really nice. Yeah, so this is Veterans Against Fascism. It's not Veterans Against Trump. We use proper language here. It's Veterans Against Fascism. That is an organization that is basically put together by a group called About Face. Those are socialist veterans. I almost went to this event, by the way. I was actually thinking about driving to Philadelphia to go undercover at this event. I was like this close to it. And then I was kind of like, there is a bunch of video of it on Instagram. I post one clip to Twitter earlier today. But like, I almost drove to Philadelphia to actually go to this in person. And I was like, I don't know if I feel safe going to Philadelphia, if I'm being honest about it. I don't know if I it's all good, bro. We all make mistakes. I was like, I don't know if I feel I have a brand new car. I don't want it to get ruined in the middle of Philadelphia. I don't know that I feel safe in Philadelphia. I don't like when I go to cities, I want to be able to walk around and like look around. And I'm just like, I just don't know if that's a good idea. So I waffled on it. And then I just decided I didn't care enough about going undercover at that event on the 4th of July in Philadelphia. Like, I just was like, I had a bad feeling about it. I've learned how to like trust my gut at these things. But I will say this. It was actually a lot bigger of an event than I thought it was going to be because they started the planning for this event like about a month ago. They weren't even really organizing for this event a month ago. We actually watched one of their meetings about it. We spy streamed one of their, we went into one of their live organizing calls about it. I didn't think the event was going to be as big as it was. I thought it would be okay, but I didn't think like they got a lot of people there. And I really thought because there were so many leftists that were going to Washington, D.C. to do a big protest against the 250 and all that stuff, I was like, how are they going to get people to Philadelphia when everyone's going to D.C. to protest? Because there are all sorts of leftist groups who are in D.C. today. But they really did pull it off, man. They really did. It was a very big event. And those are veterans and they are communists. They're socialists. And so we'll look for more information about that event this week. But I was really actually quite shocked at how many people they got to Philadelphia just because they hadn't been planning for and organizing for that event that long. And that really tells you about the power of leftist organizing. And this is something that right-wingers just don't understand. Sadly, they just don't understand it at all. All right. Well, for tonight's video that we are going to watch, we have to give a big shout out to Daniel. Daniel is a member of the community that's been around for a really long time, and he's such a nice guy, and I so appreciate him and all the support he gives. And Daniel posted this video on Twitter earlier today, and to be honest, I probably wouldn't have seen it had Daniel not posted it. And apparently, Jacobin Magazine, which is a socialist magazine, did an entire presentation yesterday called The Socialist History of July 4th. And so we are going to watch this presentation, but it's only about 50 minutes long, okay? That kind of cramps our style a little bit. I know it's July 4th, but I do still want to give you guys a good, robust stream. So we're going to do an intro. We're going to do kind of like an opening act before we get to the socialist history of July 4th. And this will allow more people to get into the stream and all that. So W's Daniel in the chat. Yeah, definitely thank him for that because I think this is going to be a really interesting watch for us. But guys, did you know that Trump defeated communism last night? Did you know that in his big kickoff July 4th speech at Mount Rushmore last night, Trump has defeated communism? It's over. It's all over, guys. Trump gave a speech where he denounced the evils of communism and said, you can be a patriot or you can be a communist, but we can't do both. But you can't do both. Yep, we won. We won. Socialists and communists have been defeated. And they're definitely not going to stop organizing, and they're definitely going to stop organizing, and they're definitely going to stop indoctrinating your kids in school, and they're definitely going to stop protesting ICE. That's definitely going to happen, and they're definitely going to stop planning to be destructive and overthrow the Constitution, and they're definitely going to stop all the campaigning that they're doing in the DSA. I mean, basically, the DSA was defeated last night, even though the DSA is bigger than it ever has been, has over 100,000 nationwide dues-paying members. They are not funded by George Soros, no matter how many conservative retards say they are. They are funded by dues-paying members that pay them over $18 million a year, just in dues alone. That doesn't count additional fundraising they do on top of that. Trump has defeated them. It's over. DSA over. Antifa over. Guys, I can basically go back to my other job, which is as a corporate trainer. I can basically quit doing socialism on the internet now because Trump won and Antifa lost, and there's just nothing else to see here. Nothing else to see. So, as a little opening act, I thought we would watch Trump's speech from last night just so we can see how badly we defeated communism and socialism. And then, after that, we are going to listen to the socialists talk about the socialist history of July 4th. And did you guys know that Status Quo News is supposed to go live tonight with protest coverage in Philadelphia? So maybe we'll turn that on, and maybe we'll see what's going on there too. Does that sound good? 1 in the chat if that sounds like a good plan for tonight. 2 in the chat if you think all this sounds dumb. 1 in the chat if that's a good plan. 2 in the chat if you think this stuff sounds dumb. Let me know. Let me know. Guys, please make sure you mount the like button for me if you would be so kind. Please make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you would like to be. And if you are new to the channel, please head over to my Substack. That is Karlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. Make sure you subscribe for free email updates. Now, you can subscribe totally for free on Substack. If you want to support the work I'm doing with $8 a month, $80 a year, you can sign up on there. It really does help me out. I know we're so good about giving out YouTube channel memberships, and that's awesome. And you guys are amazing about sending in super chats, and that's awesome. But I would really, really prefer if people supported me on Substack first. And then if you want to do extra stuff on top of that, I cannot say how much I appreciate it, but Substack is a platform that I feel very comfortable. I'm never going to get deplatformed from just because they don't do that. And so I really, and I want to make sure too, even if you don't support me on there, that I have your email address on there so I can always get in touch with you in case something happens on YouTube or other things. So please make sure you're subscribed. And if you're new to my work, click on the new to my work start here section and scroll all the way down. And when you have a free 90 minutes, make sure you watch Re-Education, an Anti-Communist Introduction to the Far Left. This will walk you through basically a 90-minute crash course in what you need to know about my work exposing and decoding the left, because most people think they understand the left, but they really have no idea. And it's not their fault they have no idea. It is because they have been misinformed by conservative con artists, influencers, and pundits and journalists who themselves have no idea about what is actually going on the left. So in this training, I walk you through over a dozen clips from real far left trainings. This is not just me lecturing at you. I walk you through clips from their own trainings so you can see directly from them. That is what we do on this channel, guys. You never have to take my word for it. Old sub, what a fucking legend. You never have to take my word for it, guys. You can just listen to the left yourself and see what they have to say. But before we get into the presentation, can we just, everyone in the chat, drop a dub for Old Sub Sailor, just gifting out 50 channel memberships to the stream. We're celebrating July 4th in style today, gifting out 50 fucking channel memberships, bro. Thank you so much for your ongoing generosity. Thank you for all the support you give this community. I really, really, really appreciate it. You are the best. And you are a legend. And if you guys can put up some Plague Doctor emojis in the chat, that would be awesome as well. That would be awesome as well. Let me see. I saw a chat too I want to respond to. Hang on. I guess I might have missed it. Hang on. I got so excited about the channel memberships from Old Sub. Yeah. So I want to say, for everyone who subscribed over on Substack, I feel like I've been neglecting Substack a little this year because I've been really focusing on the streaming. I feel like I've been neglecting my Substack audience, though, and I want you guys to know I'm going to start doing exclusive live streams over on my Substack where I talk about things just a little bit more in depth, and I'm going to be making that like a members exclusive thing. I'll upload it to YouTube as a members exclusive, but I'll also keep it on Substack as a members exclusive. But if you make sure you subscribe, because if you get, like, I will keep the original live stream for free, but once I archive it, I'm going to make it members only. So if you are subscribed to the Substack and you want to see live streams I do over there to interact with you guys exclusively over there, make sure you're signed up. It will be free when I actually live stream it, but then we're going to make it members only after that, because I feel like I've been neglecting Substack and I feel like I owe them a little bit more. But we've been doing some great content this year on YouTube, so I'm not upset about it. But I want to make sure Substack really has always been my primary platform. I get many more views on Substack than I do on YouTube. And so I want to make sure I'm taking care of my Substack peeps, giving you guys exclusive content over there, because I really do appreciate you. Yes, I am very well aware that the most important thing about me is my weight. I am very, very aware that the most important thing about me is my weight. Thank you, though. I do appreciate that. And then Old Sub, like a fucking hero, comes in, drops 10 more channel memberships. Big support from Old Sub today. Old Sub, putting us over the channel membership goal. There we go. There we go. Well, I do appreciate you guys saying I don't owe you anything on Substack, but I feel like I want to be giving more over there than what I'm currently giving. See, I used to write articles on Substack all the time. Like, there's a massive archive of articles I've written about the left, but then I really feel like people stopped reading at some point. And so I want to be doing more stuff with live video over there. I really do like Substack very much as a platform. It's a platform I've invested a lot in. And so I want to make sure I'm utilizing it. And I want to make sure, I'm giving you guys as much content over there as I can, because listen, I love the YouTube channel memberships. And of course, YouTube channel members get access to similar things as Substack does. Although Substack has slightly more, but like not significantly more. So we love and appreciate the YouTube channel memberships. The YouTube channel memberships have been game changing for the channel. It's reconnected so many people with the channel that forgot they were subscribed to it because YouTube stopped notifying them and all that stuff. It's such an amazing way to support the community, and I really do appreciate it. I just want to make sure I'm taking care of my peeps over on Substack too, because I really do like it as a platform, and I just want to make sure I'm utilizing it. And I think I can do a lot more with it than I have been. And so in the back half of the year, we're going to be upping our Substack game, okay? We're going to be upping our Substack game, and that's going to be the way it goes. So, again, make sure you're subscribed. You can subscribe totally for free. If you want to pay me money over there, you totally can, and I would appreciate that. That is Karlyn, Karlyn .substack.com. And I appreciate everyone who supports my work over there. You guys rock. You've always been the foundation of what I do, and I really can't do it without you. So, without further ado, we are going to start tonight by listening to Trump's speech where he defeated communism to kick off July 4th. And we're going to listen to what he had to say. And then as our main kind of show for the night, we are going to be listening to Socialists discuss the socialist history of July 4th. This is a live stream that just aired yesterday with Jacobin Magazine. Jacobin, of course, is a socialist publication in the United States. And so that's our agenda for tonight. Hey, Rumble are not redheaded stepchildren. Ding, ding, ding. Don't be defeatist over there. Hey, maybe if Rumble stepped up and donated as many channel memberships as YouTube does, you guys would actually not be the redheaded stepchildren. You ever think of that? Just saying. So guys, let's get into it. I have not seen this speech yet, but I'm I'm really interested to hear how Trump defeated communism last night. And then we're going to watch Real Communists, and that's what we're going to do. So everyone, please mount the like button if you would be so kind, and let's get this party started. We love Rumble. We love you, Rumble. We love you.
Well, thank you very much to the men and women of the South Dakota Air National Guard and those beautiful F-35s. We love them. And I want to thank you all for being here. This is a big crowd. This is a lovely crowd. And what a sight it is. I want to thank Senate Majority Leader John Thune, a good friend of mine and all of us. Senator Mike Rounds, great guy. Governor Larry Roden, thank you, Larry. Lieutenant Governor Ben Heisen. Oh, they're good. I was waiting for that. They said, you start speaking, they won't interrupt you at all. They didn't interrupt us at all. Thank you. They're fantastic. What great, incredible, talented pilots. Thank you very much. And Secretary Burgum, who's doing a phenomenal job. Governor Ron DeSantis, thank you. Governor DeSantis, where's Ron? Thank you, Ron. Distinguished guests and fellow citizens, tonight we gather on the eve of one of the most extraordinary days in the history of the world. Tomorrow we mark 250 years of glorious independence and 250 years of majestic American freedom. Nothing like it.
Hang on. Mayhem says, I have to tell Karlyn I won't be able to give any money until I find out how my surgery for cancer has gone. Mayhem, listen to me. First off, I want to send you positive vibes that it goes well. I really do. Everyone send positive vibes to Mayhem Raccoon on hoping his surgery went well. And we support each other here, and I really hope that things come out okay. But secondly, I never want you to have to apologize if you can't afford to support my work. I ask for people who can support it to support it so that we can keep it free for everyone. If you're in a position where times are tight or you have an emergency like this, don't worry about it at all. We keep the content as free as possible for everyone because we give out so many channel memberships because we want people to have access even to the supporter exclusive. And you've been lucky enough to get a channel membership, bro. So I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you listening, and we'll send you positive vibes. And when you're in a position to financially support, come back and do it. Pay it forward to the people who donated the channel membership to you, and so on and so forth. And I say this not just to Raccoon here, but to everyone, do not ever feel sorry if you are not in a position to support, okay? There are enough people in the community who can, and when they can, they help other people, okay? And that's just the type of community we have, is we have a lot of people who can throw in $5 for a channel membership, or in the case of Old Sub, going above and beyond, already giving 60 channel memberships, or Tolkien Fan giving 40 today. Like, listen, like, that's huge support, and it's so appreciated. But I appreciate everyone who donates because I can't do it without you guys. And so thank you. And don't ever feel sorry if you can't, that's why we're creating the community we are. Old Sub still waiting on that bikini picture. I don't know how long you're going to wait for that, Old Sub. I don't know how long you're going to wait for that, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm getting fucking thin, man. Like, I'm actually getting crazy thin. And so we'll see how that goes. For Ben Shaw, for Mayhem, get better, bro. Thank you so much for the super chat, Ben. Appreciate that. Appreciate you supporting Mayhem. Huh. Let's ban that rude person. There we go. Got your back. Also, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to I Am. W's in the chat for I Am. Happy birthday, my dear. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for the ongoing support. And we got M. Richie over on Rumble with 10 gifted channel memberships. M. Richie holding down for the entire Rumble chat. Thank you so much, M. Richie, for gifting out 10 channel memberships. Really do appreciate that, bro. You rule, and thank you for representing over on Rumble. I do appreciate you guys on Rumble. Maybe someday I'll be able to display your chats on the screen and all that good stuff. Thank you.
In all the chronicles of the ages, never before has any nation celebrated so magnificent a triumph as this one, the one that we are participating in right now. At 250 years, America is the oldest republic on earth. We are the freest people on earth. We have the most righteous and enduring constitution on earth. We are the strongest and most powerful country on earth. And by the grace of God, the United States of America is the most successful, most accomplished, most exceptional nation ever to exist in human history.
Okay, Trump. Okay. Thank you, Half-Orc Fighter I am, for being a member of the channel for 58 months. That's almost 5 years, bro. You've almost been a member of the channel for 5 years? Holy shit. Thank you so much for your ongoing support. I am Happy Birthday Man Mayhem. You're in my prayers for a speedy recovery. Thank you so much for the member chat, and thank you so much for your ongoing support.
And it is great to be your president. It is great. For a quarter of a millennium, liberty, justice, equality, self-government, and unmatched prosperity have flourished here as they have never flourished anywhere before. There is nothing like what we are doing. The birth and survival of the American nation under God is quite simply the best and most incredible thing ever to happen on this planet by human hands ever. That is ever, ever, ever.
Ever, ever, ever.
No other country has done more good for this world than the United States of America. And we give thanks for these extraordinary blessings. We remember that what we have created in this country is not the natural way of the world. It is not the norm. It is the exception. It is rare. It is priceless, and it is truly miraculous. Throughout the entire story of humanity, most people in most places have lived a life plagued
This
by
was
suffering,
early in the
poverty,
morning, bot.
exploitation, violence, and misery. But here in America, in this land, on this continent,
This was basically at midnight, so this is Trump's like big midnight like 4th of July speech. I guess maybe it was technically like late last night, but like I think it was midnight my time.
we have written a very different story. It's a tale of adventure, liberation, and unmatched
Liberation,
greatness.
you say, Trump.
It's the story
Liberation.
of people
Interesting
governing
word
themselves,
choice.
the many uniting as one, the men and women rising by their own skill and talent to go further and reach higher than anyone has ever gone before. There has never been anything like this. The triumph of American independence was the result of the most extraordinary people in history, the most extraordinary culture in history, and the most extraordinary ideas in history, all creating the most extraordinary republic ever, ever, ever in history.
Ever, ever, ever in history of ever.
It all came together for the miracle of July 4th, 1776. That was a big year. 250 years ago tomorrow, what a big day that is. I consider this a big day because I'm with you. I like that too. And by the way, we won big here. We won really big.
Oh, yeah, that's the important thing, isn't it, Trump?
Each and every time. But 250 years ago tomorrow, the words of our Declaration of Independence sent an earthquake through all of the coming time. They sparked a revolution that has never ended, but still continues to this day. And tonight we come to this beautiful mountain, and it is beautiful, to express our gratitude to those who made it possible, starting with the four men most responsible for reaching this milestone more than any others. We salute the father of our country, George Washington, the author of the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson, the great emancipator and savior of our union, Abraham Lincoln, and the man who built America into a global superpower, Theodore Roosevelt. These are the men who declared the freedom, won our freedom, saved our freedom, and secured our freedom. They were men of action, men of ambition, men of daring, men of destiny, and men of truly great intelligence. Above all, they were great men of history. Tonight, on the threshold of our 25th year, we stand beneath the monument of these heroes, a true
25th year
of unbelievable people.
Okay.
And we rededicate ourselves to being a nation as big, bold, noble, and as great as these American giants. And that's not easy to do, but we're going to do it. These men could only have been made in the USA. Their faces are engraved on these bluffs, not only because of what they did, but to remind us forever who we are. These heroes exemplify what is timeless, enduring, and eternal about the American character. And in the end, it has always been that character, our distinct and unique identity. It is a truly unique identity, and it'll never change. It's the ultimate source of our strength and the bulwark of our freedom. On this anniversary, we must remember, we have to remember, we can never forget that American liberty has not endured for 250 years merely because of words on paper. Liberty has prevailed here because of the culture and character of the people who declared it, defended it, and preserved it. These are very, very special times, and this is a very special place. You live in a very special place. Congratulations, everybody. The identity of a nation is the destiny of a nation, and America has a destiny like no other because we are a people like no other. For whatever reason, that's just the way it is. Here, the old world sent its bravest, boldest, and most resilient, its fiercest, most faithful, and freedom-loving. These men and women brought values, traditions, and customs transmitted over the centuries in Britain and stretching back even further to Athens, Jerusalem, and Rome. The United States of America is where the greatest civilization in human history became greater than ever before. On the grounds and granite hills and the rugged plains of this wide open continent, they forged a uniquely American character, a new breed of citizen. That's you. Congratulations. Congratulations. You're not that new a breed. You're a really good breed, but I'm not sure that you're that new a breed. Americans did not bow before a king or a government, but kneeled only before Almighty God.
Yo, we got Red Menace Guru in with 5 channel memberships. W's to you, good sir. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and the stream. Appreciate you very much. Guys, we are watching Trump's speech from last night where he defeated communism as our little starter, like, appetizer, and then we're going to be moving into a socialist presentation on the socialist history of July 4th. We just want to hear what Trump had to say last night, so if you just tuned in, kick back, relax, and make sure you mount the like button on your way in the door.
These were the people who founded our republic. These were the patriots who fought for independence. This was the spirit that demanded freedom, and this was the culture that built America and carved its heroes into Mount Rushmore. For generations, it was understood that the core of patriotic duty of every American was to pass this culture on to our children and to preserve the nation for centuries and centuries to come. But in recent years, there's been an undeniable attempt to change this exceptional character.
In recent years.
To beat the American spirit
Not
out
in
of
recent
us,
years, Trump.
alienate us from our history, and to make it impossible to even answer the question, what does it mean to be an American? As we march into our 250th year, incredible, beautiful year it will be, we must never forget there is no American freedom without American culture.
True. So you should be deporting the brown immigrants who don't
And
speak
there is
English.
no American founding without the American people. Many nations have paper constitutions and legal systems, but the citizens live in fear and squalor. A constitution is only as strong as the people and the culture responsible for upholding it. But as long as we remember who we are, we have to always remember who we are and what we're all about. The United States of America will forever be the land of free men and women, and we will never, ever fail. So tonight, let us say clearly and proudly what makes Americans so unique and extraordinary. We're going to give our country its identity back. Above all, Americans love freedom. We cherish independence, and we know that we are the heirs to the most beautiful land, the most thrilling story, and the most precious legacy on which the sun has ever shined. In America, we do not need anyone's permission to say what we think and to live as we please,
except
to
the
worship
Jews,
as
right,
we
Trump?
choose,
Except the
or
Jews.
to keep and bear arms. You know that. And for almost 6 years during my presidency, I've saved almost single-handedly, but working with John and some other great people, we've saved your Second Amendment, and I will continue to do so, I promise. Our rights here given to us by the God who made us, and those rights shall not be infringed. Americans believe in self-reliance. We look at success with envy not, and I say that some people are envious and some people are not. We are not, but with admiration, and we earn it, and we will always earn it, and we will always respect it. We are an incredible, good, kind, and generous people, always ready to help a friend or a neighbor in need. No one has ever given more to charity, ended more hunger, cured more disease, or done more to uplift humanity than Americans, and no country ever will be able to match it. Thank you. So true. Americans honor excellence. We admire boldness. We respect ambition. We are a nation of dreamers and believers, warriors and explorers, doers and fighters. In every human endeavor, Americans see an unfinished competition. What is strong can be made stronger. What is fast can be made faster. What is great can be made greater than ever before. And that's what's happening with America. Show us a mountain and we'll just climb it. Show us an ocean and we'll just cross it. Show us a problem and we will just solve it. Show us a task the world calls impossible and Americans will get it done. Americans are strong and always ready to stand firm for a good cause. We treasure justice, fairness, family, honesty, and human dignity, unlike societies based on class, clan, or tribe. We see every citizen as an individual, equal under the law and equal under the eyes of the Lord.
Hey, Danny, you must be new here. You seem to think that Democrats are socialists and communists, and they're not. Actually, probably more would have been done about the actual socialists and communists that are fucking everything up if Kamala Harris was president. That's actually my current position. I'm not messing around. Trump hasn't done fuck off to fight the far left. Trump has gotten us into unnecessary wars. I actually think we might be in a better position if Kamala Harris was president because the left wouldn't be able to use Kamala Harris in order to recruit and radicalize disaffected Democrats. The left has recruited, you think you can tell me what to do? Oh, honey, you don't know where you are, do you? You don't know where you are, do you? You are in my fucking classroom, you feckless fucking bitch. In my classroom, I am at the top of the hierarchy. You are at the bottom of the fucking hierarchy. And given that you haven't said one intelligent thing in my chat yet, and now you're whining and complaining and thinking you can tell me what to do, enjoy your time out. You ever do that shit again, you won't be back.
In America, we speak English because that is the language of our founding, and for 1,000 years, that has been the language of freedom. An American always wants peace and order, but we will never shrink from danger or threat. We will always fight, fight, fight. And
no,
win,
the DSA was not in decline. No, that's not real. That's not real at all. The DSA has actually been actively growing and recruiting ever since Trump's first presidency. So Trump kickstarted the growth of the DSA. Trump didn't do fuck off about the DSA in his first term. Trump basically let the DSA and all the communists run the fucking streets during 2020 and didn't do anything about it. Even when they tried to set fire to the fucking White House. So no, that did not happen under Biden. That happened under Trump, guys. That happened under Trump. W's Jenny for the channel membership. Thank you so much.
Because this is our culture, this is our character. Not every American is all of these things, but every American knows these are the traits that make our country exceptional, and exceptional it is. You do not have to be born here, but you do have to love what we have built. You must love our country.
No, trust me. Trust me. I've been doing this for 6 years. These are not leftists pretending to be stupid conservatives. Real leftists wouldn't even know how to do that, honestly. We can see through the language. Real leftists are not going to speak in the language of conservatives, just like conservatives don't speak in the language of leftists, okay? They are really just this stupid. It really is. And if you don't believe me, I want to invite you to go on to my Facebook page, Decode the Left with Karlyn Borysenko. I think it's facebook.com/decode the left. If you really think that these are all secret leftists, I would invite you to go on to my Facebook page that I can't even look at anymore, because you will see thousands of the most stupid comments you have ever seen in your life. That's not to say that everyone on Facebook is a massive fucking retard, but there seems to be a critical mass of magatard boomers on Facebook, and you will see just how dumb they are. And I get them sometimes on Instagram. I get them sometimes on Twitter. We get them in the chat. And people think, oh, these are just onesies and twosies. These must be fakers. No, they're not. They really are this stupid. They really are. And that is probably one of the most terrifying things to face of all.
There has never been anything like us anywhere on earth, and we are not going to let anyone take that away. Yet as we approach this magnificent anniversary, we see our American identity under a renewed attack. A generation after
here it is, guys. Trump is going to defeat Antifa
against the menace of communism.
Oh,
there is now a resurgence of the communist menace in our
not
land,
resurgence, Trump. They've always been around.
To our country who embrace ideas totally opposed to our way of life and our great success. These are not mere political disagreements like differences over taxes or regulations.
True.
Communism is a mortal threat to American liberty.
True.
It is the greatest threat to our country, including World War I, World War II, Pearl Harbor, or even 9/11. We're not going to let this happen to us.
Then when are they going to start taking it seriously? Because, guys, I don't give a flying fuck what Trump said in this speech. I've watched Trump's behaviors over the past year and a half since he got inaugurated again. Trump has not taken this threat seriously. Trump doesn't even know who these people are. Trump keeps lying to the American public about it. Kash Patel keeps lying to the American public about it. Pam Bondi, when she was Attorney General, lied to the American public about it. Harmeet Dillon, Assistant Attorney General, lies to the American public about it. Every single person in the Trump administration has been lying and misinforming the American people about what the real far left is. And I've gone undercover with Antifa all over the country, literally more than anyone else that I know about. I have seen them directly, in person, all over the place. We spend all our time studying them. We know what the fuck is going on. We know more than the FBI does. This is the hill I will die on. We know more than the FBI about the far left in America. We know more than the Trump administration about the far left in America. And it shouldn't be that way. I just fucked up my nail polish. It shouldn't be that way. There is no universe in which I or a YouTube community should know more than the FBI. I am a woman sitting in my second bedroom that doesn't even have air conditioning in New Hampshire, looking into a webcam that is duct taped to my computer monitor. I don't have any big budget. I have thousands of individuals that fund my work through channel memberships, through super chats, through Substack memberships, through other ways that you guys donate or buy merch. There is no fucking universe in which I should know more than the FBI does or the White House does about the far left in America. And yet here we are. And we are here because the Trump administration does not take this problem seriously at all. And every single time for literally years that we have tried to get primary source evidence in front of people in the government, in front of conservative influencers, in front of the conservative media, they have ignored it almost every single time for years. One in the chat, if you have ever tried to show an influencer or a pundit a clip of my work and they either ignored you or blocked you for your trouble. 2 in the chat if that hasn't happened yet. 1 in the chat if you have ever taken a clip of my work and tried to send it to the media or send it to your favorite influencer or go in their replies on Twitter and they have just either ignored it entirely or they actually blocked you for posting the primary source evidence. 2 in the chat if that hasn't happened yet. So, I appreciate that Trump is making strong words against communism in America, as he should be. I don't believe a word Trump says until I actually see action that backs up that he takes this problem seriously. And guys, if Trump does things that are good, if Trump takes steps, I promise you, I am intellectually honest, if nothing else, and I am the most consistent bitch on this platform. If Trump actually does something good and productive against the left, I will say that. Regardless of if I like Trump or not, regardless of if I voted for him or not, regardless of if I support him or not. If Trump and his government actually did something productive, that I was like, okay, Trump, good job. Good job. I would say that. I would be the person to say, yes, can we get more of this, please? Can we get more of this? But the fact of the matter is in the last year and a half, that has not been happening. And by the way, guys, I just saw this on Instagram earlier today. I'm going to post it at some point. I just haven't gotten to it yet. Did you guys know that one of the 15 Antifa terrorists who got arrested in Minneapolis, the 15 hardened Antifa terrorists, one of them has already pleaded the terrorism charge down to a misdemeanor in which they were fined $250 and sentenced to time served. That is the result of arresting the 15 Antifa anti-ICE terrorists in Minneapolis. One of them has already pleaded down the federal fucking terrorism charges to basically a misdemeanor, for which they paid a $250 fine. And now they're out, and they're organizing again. And do you think they're ever going to stop? I don't think they're ever going to stop. So don't fucking tell me that Trump is doing fuck off to protect us from these people, because he's not.
Believe me, we're not letting it happen. Because communism is the enemy of free people everywhere in the world.
True.
It never works. It's the enemy of the Constitution. Above all, it's the enemy of July 4th, 1776. It is the enemy indeed. Even while the radicals and extremists attack our incredible history at every turn, they are silent on the miserable history of communism.
They're not actually.
It never worked.
No, they're not actually silent about it. They actually talk about why it hasn't worked all the fucking time. Yet more evidence that the Trump administration doesn't actually listen to the left and then lies to the American people about it. One in the chat, if you have heard communists explicitly talk about the history of communism and why it hasn't worked, two in the chat if you haven't heard that yet. And if you're newer to my content, you may not have heard it yet, so it's okay. One in the chat if you have explicitly watched content with me over the years where you have heard far leftists directly talking about all the failures of communism and why it didn't work. Two in the chat if that hasn't happened yet. Trump wrong again. Yeah, communists are actually very well versed in their own history. They talk about it literally all the time.
Thousands of years, if you look at it, under different names, under somewhat different ideologies and systems, that system has led to more death and destruction than any system ever tried. It killed 100 million people just in the last century alone. Communism is the exact opposite of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's death, tyranny, and the pursuit of evil. The godless communist morality states that anything is justified to bring about inhuman visions and to really propose what's good. They don't want good. They don't love God, and they don't want God. They don't love religion, and they don't want religion, and they won't have it. But we will not let them win. They have no chance.
So what are you going to fucking do about it?
They have no respect for law, justice, principle, tradition, or your God-given rights. It's an ideology of mass theft, mass control, mass lies, and mass murder. Such doctrines can be given no quarter in a democracy.
Yeah, so let's start doing that. No quarter for communists. Let's actually do that,
turn
Trump.
around and destroy it. It always is destroyed, just as communists have done in other countries all over the world, no matter where you look. Very simply, communism represents the worst ideas and abuses in history by the worst people. The American founding represents the best ideas and traditions in history by the best people like you. You can be loyal to Karl Marx, or you can be loyal to America. You can be a communist, or you can be a patriot. You cannot be both. As for those who peddle Marxist lies about our heritage, who tell our children that we live on stolen land, or that our heroes were oppressors, they're doing something much worse than slandering our past. They are slandering and attacking our future. Not to let that happen. They're trying to tear down the great American character, to destroy the people who declared independence, who crossed the Delaware, who settled the West, and conquered the skies. You know who those people are. But we will never let that happen. Our American ancestors did not shed their blood at Concord and Trenton, Gettysburg and Shiloh, Midway and Normandy, just so that a band of thieves, radicals, and lunatics could come in and loot, pillage.
Can I show you just how low the bar is for magatards? Can I show you, to even hear the president address communism is a landslide change from 2016. We need a new era of McCarthyism in this country in which communists are afraid to show their face in public, and communists should be afraid to fucking organize, and they should be afraid to express their ideas, because if they express their ideas, they get fired from their fucking jobs and hauled before Congress and made to explain themselves. And the bar that we have from MAGAtards is, guys, it is huge that Trump even said the word communism. I want to fucking round up all communists and put them in concentration camps and get them out of society. And MAGAtards and bro, I gotta put you in a timeout because this is far too stupid for this chat. We have an IQ standard here. You are not meeting it right now. So I'm gonna put you in a timeout. You say any more retard shit in my chat, you're gonna get deported. Because if you think the bar that I'm gonna hold people to on this channel is Trump mentioning the word communism literally defeated Antifa, you can go fuck yourself. These people need to be rounded up and put in fucking jail. Trump declared them to be terrorists over a year ago, and he hasn't done fuck off about it. And as long as they're allowed to continue being out free to organize and do whatever the fuck they want, they are going to win and we are going to lose. And I don't give a fuck how many times Trump says the word communism. If he isn't going to do anything about it, he should just shut the fuck up.
Our nation, our heroes died to win, build, and to save, and to build truly a great country, the greatest country ever in the world. So on the eve of this 250th anniversary of American heritage, we resolve and swear for all to hear that the citizens of the United States of America will vanquish communism quickly. Don't let them take too much of your time.
God.
You know
Quickly,
they're wasting
guys.
your time,
It's
don't you? But we're
It's
not going to
over.
let them take too long or
It's
too
over.
much of our time.
They're going to
as
go
they
after
play their
Deborah
game
Roy Singham and the
and send them
CCP.
into exile. We will send them quickly away, and we will continue to build our country bigger and better and stronger than ever before. America will never be a communist country. We can only lose the midterms if we allow ourselves to lose the midterms, if we are foolish, stupid, and unwise. But if we terminate the filibuster,
Trump is going to get slaughtered in the midterms. Yeah, Trump, who are you exiling exactly? Who are you exiling exactly, Trump, that's going to fix communism? My God.
as we should do, and immediately vote for the Save America Act, then we will.
Oh, yeah,
not
there it is,
lose
guys. There it is.
an
Antifa
election
defeated.
for 100 years. We do that, we're not going to lose an election for 100 years.
Yeah, okay, Trump.
The Communist Party is made up of illegal immigrants, criminals, and everybody that does.
There is no Communist Party. Well, no, that's actually not true. There is CPUSA. CPUSA has been trying to make a comeback, but like, this is not the 1950s Trump. We are not in the 1950s. There's Communist Party USA. There's the DSA, there's the Working Families Party, there's the Party for Socialism and Liberation, there's Socialist Alternative, there's Socialist Horizon, there's the Tempest Collective, there's the Firebrand Collective, which is made up of the Denver Communists, the Seattle Revolutionary Socialists, Boston Revolutionary Socialists, New York Revolutionary Socialists, a couple other socialist groups. We have thousands of Antifa cells all over the country that are decentralized, non-hierarchical. Who else am I missing? I'm missing probably hundreds of different groups because I'm just doing this off the top of my head. You think you defeat Freedom Road Socialist Organization, the Revolutionary Communists of America? Who else am I missing? I need to get back to you guys. Yes. I'm gonna go on Larry Sharp's podcast. I know you've been sending me DMs. You got DL to send me a DM, and I'm gonna get back to you guys. I've just been really fucking busy the last couple weeks, but I promise. All the unions, thank you. All the fucking labor unions. Trump wants to go after the Communist Party. Hey, Trump, how about you go after the labor unions? How about you do that? Because I promise you, Trump, going after the labor unions to include the teachers union and every major union in this country except the police unions, because they're not real unions according to the left. That would be a whole lot more productive than Trump going after some mystical communist party that doesn't even exist like it did in the 50s.
Doesn't want to work. Communism is a loser. It always was, and it is right now. It's a big loser. Look at the people that are promoting it. They are not the people you're going to follow. In 250
Except
years,
people
the
are
free people
following
of
them,
this
Trump.
land
Except
have
people are following them.
accomplished more with our liberty than...
Oh, isn't that nice? In J.D. Vance's new book, he said we need more labor unions. Karlyn, do you really think you know more about the left than the White House does? Yes. If the Vice President of the United States does not understand that the labor unions are the backbone of far left organizing and that they are completely controlled by the far left, if the vice president does not understand that very simple and basic fact, then yes, we know more than the White House does about the left in America. It is indisputable to anyone paying attention. So yes, guys, I am deadly serious when I say we know more than the White House. 100%.
Any other society has accomplished, even in
Trump thinks
thousands
memes is
and
going to defeat
thousands of
communism.
years, as you look back and you study, what our critics will never understand is that America is not the sum of its mistakes. Our mistakes make us human. Our achievements make us American. And nobody has ever had the achievements that we've had. We are the nation that dreamed and created the modern world. We laid the railroads. We raised up those big, beautiful skyscrapers, harnessed electricity, and invented the light bulb, the telephone, the airplane, the assembly line, the television, the microchip, the personal computer, the internet, the GPS, the smartphone, and almost everything else that has ever been invented, including, especially over the last few days in certain areas, a thing called air conditioning.
Yeah, true. America W. America W.
We charted the human genome, cured diseases. We powered entire cities by splitting single atoms and planted our flag on the moon. Americans fill the airwaves of the planet with our music and our culture. We invented baseball, basketball, football, volleyball, NASCAR, and the rodeo. We love that rodeo of the West. Americans have won the most Olympic medals of any country in the world by far, the most Nobel Prizes. Well, they haven't given me one. Settled 8 wars. I still haven't gotten it. That's okay. And the most world records.
Did you guys hear that Hunter Biden nominated Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize for stopping the war in Iran 38 times? I was like, he's not wrong. Trump has ended the war in Iran 38 times.
We publish by far the most patents. We produce the best movies. We make the best music. And we raise up the greatest entertainers and strongest athletes the world has ever seen. So true. We built the biggest and most dynamic economy. And by the way, our country today is doing better than it's ever done before. Never had anything like it. With, as of last week, $19.2 trillion pouring into the United States right now from all over the world. That's the investments being made. And the record was 3. 4 years. In 4 years, the last administration did much less than 1, and we did 19.2 in 12 months. And thanks to our great election win, November 5th, and the tariffs, plants and factories are being built all over the United States right now, and they're being built at a number.
Hey, Trump, where's my tariff check? Does anyone remember when we were all supposed to get a tariff check? I remember when we were supposed to get a tariff check. Trump, do you know how many probably into the thousands of dollars that I've had to pay in your fucking tariffs to buy luxury goods from Japan because it's much easier to source shit in Japan than it is here? Do you know how many? Where the fuck is my tariff check, Trump?
That we've never, ever seen before. So much more.
Do you know how expensive it is for me to buy hand-dyed yarn now because of the tariffs? Because most hand-dyed yarn, the really good stuff, is made in Europe. Can't even get fucking yarn anymore without having to pay an extra like $30 fucking for it.
Breaking records by double, triple, quadruple. We created the strongest and most powerful military. We won 2 world wars, the Cold War, left America's enemies in the depths of history. We beat Venezuela in one day, and we knocked the hell out of Iran. They're dying to settle.
Yep, it's all over. Iran war over, guys. Iran war over again.
We gave them a week off for a funeral because we're nice.
Yeah, where's our Doge stimulus check too? Right, Tammy? Where's our Doge
the
check?
The entire world has looked to our country and been inspired by the leaps of progress, feats of strength, and acts of selflessness, faith, and hope that could only have happened right here. 2 years ago, we were laughed at, mocked, and a nation in decline. We were in very serious decline. Last administration, what they've done to us, we can never, ever forget that. And today, we are the hottest country anywhere in the world. Everybody respects us like no nation. Remember this, we're respected like no nation in the world is respected like us. Every king, every prime minister, every president, they respect us more than any other country by far. 2 years ago, they laughed at us. Now it's only respect. And I want to tell you, the best is yet to come. So in conclusion, from the roaring waters of Niagara Falls to the shimmering gushers of oil and fire from our beloved Texas, from the magnificent fields of corn and wheat and barley of our farms in the Midwest, to the vast canyons of finance in New York City, from the billowing stacks of steel now being produced all over our country at record levels, to the car plants that are rising like we have never seen before. We have more plants under construction than we've had ever before. Automobile plants, something you didn't see of at all for 35 years. To technology from the minds of geniuses that is being brought to life in all corners of our country. From the snow-capped peaks of the...
Yo, we got a super chat. Thank you so much for that. Off topic, does dye need a while to set before you use, or could you dye white yarn second? No, you need to dye yarn, you have to put it in water. You put the dye basically in water, and then you soak the yarn in the water. And so you need to let the yarn dry. You can't use it immediately. You have to let it dry before you use that. But like after it's dry, you can use it. I'm not a yarn dyer though. I buy the yarn after it's dyed, but I know enough about it to be dangerous. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it.
Rockies to the white sand shores of the Gulf of America. And to right here in the Black Hills of the Dakotas. After 250 years, American freedom still rings. The American dream still lives, and the American flag still flies more proudly than ever before over the people who will not quit, the nation that will not fail, the country that will not fall. No matter how hard the enemy tries, we cannot be beaten. Tomorrow we reach a milestone like no other and celebrate with joyful hearts and soaring spirits, because after 2.5 centuries, we know that this is not an ending. This is only the beginning of the golden age of America. And together we will make America bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. I promise you that. It's an honor to be your president. Thank you very much, and happy Independence Day to all. God bless you all.
All right, guys, that's it. That's it. Communism defeated. Communism defeated. Antifa is over. I guess we'll see what happens next. I guess we'll see what actions they actually take to back up this speech. I don't really have high hopes, though, if I'm being honest about it. I don't really have high hopes. Did I watch Mondami's speech? No, I haven't watched it yet. I heard about it. I haven't watched it yet. Anyway, I think this is interesting. I didn't hear one concrete promise or plan, just, guys, did you know that communists are bad? Okay. And we are good and communists are bad. And we are going to defeat communists. Well, let's see how much they're defeated. Let's see how much they're defeated. Because, guys, we are going to be moving into the main event of the stream tonight. Because last night, the socialists that run Jacobin magazine, who aren't really the most far leftists, like they're like DSA types. But I mean, I think some of them are like moderately far left. But like Jacobin is not nearly as far left as some of the people that we watch. But like it's a timely presentation because last night the communists or the socialists that run Jacobin magazine gave an entire presentation about the socialist history of July 4th. And since it is July 4th, and apparently all of you are just hanging out at home instead of being at something fun like a barbecue or fireworks or stuff like that, we're going to listen to the socialist history of a July 4th. Yeah, Status Quo News is actually live right now, but it doesn't really look like there's like a ton going on. It doesn't look like there's a ton going on, so I am kind of keeping an eye on Status Quo News, but you can see not really a ton going on. If there starts to be action, we will definitely go there. But I wanna watch this presentation. Now, for people who are new to Socialism Saturday, as a reminder, this is a research stream and a class, okay? So we do have some rules that now we're getting into the socialist content. We do have some rules that we ask people to abide by when you come to Socialism Saturday. So I want everyone to pay close attention to this short instructional video and just follow the instructions. And it's going to make things better for everyone. I promise you. Okay? Pay attention. All right. For anyone that's new, we have some rules for Socialism Saturday. Let me go over them real quick. Socialism Saturday is a research group and a class. We do take this seriously. You're allowed to have fun. You're allowed to have a drink or two. You're allowed to kind of kick back and joke in the chat. However, I need everyone to understand that when we are researching the radical revolutionary left, we do take this seriously. And so if you're shitposting in my chat, I'm going to tell you to stop. If you are posting off topic in the chat, I'm going to ask you to stop at some point because it's going to be distracting to what we're doing. I need you to think of yourself as in a classroom. And I'm not talking about an online classroom. I'm talking about a real life classroom, okay? When you walk into a real life classroom, I am the teacher, you are the students. You are sitting in the desk, I am sitting in the front of the classroom. I'm standing there teaching you what is going on. If you were in a real life classroom, you wouldn't walk in, start throwing shit at the wall, yelling, saying, I disagree with you because my best friend said something different. That's not allowed. I don't care about your feelings. I'm not going to coddle your opinion. And that's going to be the way it is. And if you don't like it, you don't have to be here. But if you are in my classroom, you will respect my rules and you will listen to me. And if you do not do that, then you will be removed. And how you feel about being removed makes no difference to me at all. The expectation is if you're going to be here and you're going to be watching socialism with us and you're going to be participating in the chat, you are doing it because you are serious about learning this topic and understanding this topic. The minute that I think that you're just fucking around or you're trolling or something like that, you're going to get put in a timeout or permanently banned, and that's just going to be the way it is. Rule number 2, don't be a dick. Do not insult me. Do not insult other people in the chat. I can do whatever I want because I am the queen fascist bitch of my YouTube channel. So I can say and do whatever I want. But if you don't insult me and you don't insult other people in the chat, we're not going to have a problem. So be an adult, rein that shit in. Number 3, no whining. I don't care about your feelings. I don't care if you feel personally attacked. It makes no difference to me at all. And I promise you, I care about your feelings a little bit more than the left does. So if you can't handle me, you can't handle the left. If you start whining and complaining because you don't like the rules or you think you're being treated unfairly, you can just leave, bro. There's the door. You don't have to be here. Number 4, listen. Our job here and why we do Socialism Saturday is to listen to what the left is saying, to listen to what real leftists are doing in the real world. This is not to support your confirmation bias. This is not to support any conservative bullshit narrative that you may have heard on Glenn Beck that one time. This is not to be what you want it to be. This is to engage with reality. We need to listen, we need to actively listen, and we need to understand the left better than they understand themselves. That is the purpose of this exercise, okay? As part of that, I do ask that people refrain from debunking. You do not have a single debunk in your arsenal about the left is stupid because of reasons X, Y, B, and Z, or the left is her hypocrites for reasons X, Y, B, and Z. You don't have a single debunk that we haven't heard before, okay? And every time you put energy into debunking, that is energy that you're not putting into listening. So if I see you debunking, I'm going to tell you to stop, because you need to put that energy into listening instead. Lastly, break the rules of my chat or disrespect me in any way, and I'll just kick you out, and that's the way it is. All right, guys, those are the rules of Socialism Saturday. 1 in the chat if you agree to follow the rules of Socialism Saturday. 2 in the chat if you think my rules are stupid and you're going to show yourself out. The reason we have rules is I've been doing this for a long time. We need to make this a learning environment for everyone. And if people are mouthing off and causing problems in the chat, chances are you're not just pissing off me, you're pissing off all of the smart people in the chat. And quite frankly, I care more about the smart people here than I care about the stupid people here. Okay, Old Sub gets a pass because he donated 60 channel memberships. He can say whatever he wants. He can say whatever he wants. Let me get the channel membership banner on the screen. Guys, if I teach you something new tonight, please feel free to throw in some channel memberships to the community. Please feel free to send in super chats. I want to thank everyone who has donated 117 channel memberships so far. We're already past our goal. Can we really blow out the channel membership goal tonight, though? If I teach you something new, give some channel memberships out to the community. If I make you laugh, if I make you think, if I make you cry, give some channel memberships out to the community. It gets people benefits, gets people into Spy Stream, stuff like that. Helps support the work I'm doing. And I really, really, really appreciate everyone who has donated so far. Yeah, Old Sub has diplomatic immunity. He does. He can say and do whatever he wants. He is the king of the chat. He can say and do whatever he wants. All right, guys. Yo, Chica Logo! In with the channel membership W's! Appreciate it, bro. Let's add that to our tally. 118. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Let's get into it, guys. This is Jacobin Magazine talking about the socialist history of July 4th.
Of democracy. If Democrats win in November, that doesn't change the fact that we have seen 50 years of class war on working people, nor does it guarantee that we're going to do anything about it. You know, no King's Days should be no kings, and as FDR said, and no economic royalists.
Welcome, friends, to the Jacobin Show. David Griscombe here, and I am joined by my brother, comrade, and friend, Matt Weck. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, David. Good to be with you.
Really happy to be with you today, man. And as everybody is getting excited to celebrate the July 4th weekend, we have one of my favorite people on the program, Harvey K. Y'all probably know him as a great scholar of FDR. Among many other things. But today we're going to be talking about Thomas Paine, the American Revolution and the American Project at large. It really is always such a pleasure to speak with Harvey. Harvey's somebody who's been a huge influence on me in my life personally and also, intellectually. So really wonderful to have him on the program and, to be talking about, the American tradition, which I feel like is very much Harvey's contribution amongst many other things to the American left.
Absolutely. I mean, Harvey's really the guy when it comes to American founding mythologies and the progressive tradition.
I would remind people, if you haven't picked it up already, we have an excellent new edition of Jacobin out. The 1776 edition is live. Last week we had Asher Taylor, and Alex Bronzini-Vender on the program to talk about their pieces in the magazine, but there's much, much more. I mean, there's Matt Karp, there's a lot about the Civil War, the Second American Revolution, really phenomenal edition of the publication, and you get access to it by subscribing to Jackman. We have a link below for people to get discounted subscriptions to the magazine as well. So don't be foolish. Be sure to sign up. It's a great way to kind of fight for the better parts of our working class tradition in this country. But Matt, before we get over to Mr. Harvey K, this has been a very difficult year for many folks. For me, kind of both generally and also personally, the war in Iran, because of what it's meant for my family, has been exceptionally difficult. I remember I was in Dallas and I was speaking to a man at this really sweet restaurant, just like this older Iranian American who just kind of runs a very simple kitchen in an area of Dallas where it's mostly like car mechanic shops and things like that. Just a very sweet person. And he looks at me, and it was a few days after the U.S. started bombing Tehran, and he starts saying, like, there are millions of souls every night who go to sleep under bombs. Why is your country doing this? Why is your country doing this?
Because of Israel.
And just really being at a loss personally, not having an I mean, obviously I condemn it. It's so disgusting to me, this conflict, but just that moment of not really having an answer to that really was such a gut punch. So, this is one of those anniversaries, this 250th anniversary of this country, that is complicated because of that and many, many other reasons. But I also think it's really critical to never cede these things over to the right, because we do have an extremely proud and important tradition of working class, fights, of working class victories, and of working class history in this country. There's also a radical and a revolutionary tradition in the U.S. I mean, we'll talk about this more with Harvey later, but the American Revolution, though I know, a lot of people on the left don't like to recognize it, was a revolution that was not only inspirational in this country, but was inspirational to all kinds of anti-colonial efforts. I mean, one of the great ironies of history, of course, is the ways that America did not live up to the ideals that people kind of expected. I mean, Ho Chi Minh, a phenomenal example of this, somebody who understood and studied the American Revolution with excruciating detail, thinking that would lead the Americans to support them against the French. Not only did we not do that, we kind of doubled down and do the dirty work of the French Empire. And this is, I think, the American story today, looking back, is there are these ideals, there are these things that are worth noting, worth upholding even, and then also reckoning with the many, many ways this country has fallen short of them. I know that was a little bit of a high-minded thing, and we have some kind of silly stuff, but if there's anything that you wanted to kind of note before we get into looking at some of these celebrations.
No, actually, yeah, I do. I've been, you talk about what the how difficult it is to be positive in this moment in terms of patriotism and maybe America's role in history. And I think it is important to attempt that a little bit. And I have been reading C.L.R. James. He has this great book about Herman Melville, one of my favorite, if not my favorite author, called Mariners, Renegades, and Castaways. And at the very beginning of the book, he has a couple of quotes. One is this extended one from Melville's novel Redburn, which, as C.L.R. James mentions in the book, he was written in 1849 with sort of closely following the 1848 revolutions, which were met, as C.L.R. James points out, by the lighting up of the White House in celebration of overthrowing the monarchies in the early signs of that. But there's a quote from Redburn here that is maybe more optimistic about what Americanism means than I could be in this moment, but I think this is nonetheless important. Quote, "There is something in the contemplation of the mode in which America has been settled that, in a noble breast, should forever extinguish the prejudices of national dislikes. Settled by people of all nations may claim her for their own. You cannot spill a drop of American blood without spilling the blood of the whole world. Our blood is as the flood of the Amazon, made up of 1,000 noble currents all pouring into one. We are not a nation so much as a world. Our ancestry is lost in the universal pageantry, and Caesar and Alfred, St. Paul and Luther, and Homer and Shakespeare are as much ours as Washington, who is as much the world's as our own. We are the heirs of all time, and with all nations we divide our inheritance. On this Western Hemisphere, all tribes and people are forming into one federated whole, and there is a future which shall see the estranged children of Adam restored as to the old hearthstone in Eden. And I think it's amazing to read that written at a time where America was not yet 100 years old. What it represented in the minds of, I think a genius like Herman Melville. And, I was sort of taken aback by C.L.R. James starting his book with that section. And it's what inspired me to go back and reread Melville.
Tremendous. that really is an incredible quotation there. Look, let's play a little bit of this, Matt, just because we have it, and then I have some more to say about the American Revolution and this anniversary. But I will just say, on a simplistic level, I mean, I'm looking forward to the weekend. Obviously, I got the smoker ready. I think we're gonna do some big beef ribs, have some friends over. But in my mind, I had expected this celebration, to be bigger, and probably in a way that was maybe offensive to me or like gauche or something like that. But I have been genuinely surprised at the kind of muted, celebrations for this anniversary. I mean, the reasons for it are obvious, but I mean, I couldn't imagine this. Could you?
I mean, if I'm being honest about it, has anyone else been really underwhelmed at the celebration for the 250th anniversary of America? I have been completely underwhelmed by it, to the point where, listen, I'm not going to say I completely don't care. It's a cool thing. It's a cool thing that our country was founded 250 years ago. For all its faults and problems, it's still a cool thing that we made it this far, right? It should have been such a big blow up, in your face all the time with American flags and eagles and lightning bolts, and it should have been months and months of celebrating leading up to this night. And it just felt really underwhelming to me. Really underwhelming. Now, I don't remember this particular affair. I was not around for that. But Kurt was. The 200th was a raging torrent of celebration. So you're telling me that Trump couldn't pull off a raging torrent of celebration? Oh, he had a UFC match at the White House. Oh, guys, he, that's it. That's it. And it's like, every time I saw people at that big 250, fair or whatever that Trump had in DC, it was always underwhelming. It was always like, there's no one there. There's no one even interested in this. And so I think it's sad. I think it's sad that of all people, Donald Trump should have been able to put on a months-long show that got everyone really excited. There were so many opportunities to do really cool shit, and they just didn't do it. Too busy fighting Israel's wars for them, because Israel has to come first, guys. Not America, Israel.
So this that we're seeing, what we're seeing at the National Mall here.
Yeah, TMZ was on the scene here, and this is a Dr. Oz, and it seems like I'm forgetting his name on purpose to be funny, but I can't remember the celebrity here that Dr. Oz is talking to. But Dean Cain, sorry. There you go, Dean. You got your Jacobin show name check there. Dean Cain, talk about how big the crowd is, and you get a, frankly, Oscar-worthy pan from the cinematographer from TMZ here.
And it's because there's tons of people here. It's a huge space, and it's just going to get more and more crowded as the week goes on.
Look at this! This is pathetic. This is the turnout for the big fair. And guys, I saw a lot of video of this. This was not just one time. It was like this all the time. You know, conservatives always want to shit on the left for, like, every time we watch a leftist meeting, conservatives in the chat are like, how many people even went to that meeting? How many people were even at the protest? The right wants to shit on the fact that the left literally gets millions and millions of people to go out to protest. The right wants to shit on the fact that the left gets hundreds or sometimes thousands of people to come to their meetings. They say, this isn't very many people. Oh yeah? Where the fuck are you, conservatives? Where the fuck are you? I spent years of my life going and speaking at Republican events. Literally years. I've spoken at rallies. I've spoken at conferences. I've spoken at other types of like private events. I have only been to one right-wing event that actually brought out thousands of people. One. The vast majority of right-wing events that I went to had less than 100 people at them. The vast majority. They were sparse. And these were with big-time influencers promoting them. These are with people with hundreds of thousands or millions of followers promoting them. And conservatives just don't show up. And by the way, that's true of their big event, CPAC. Most people go to CPAC to go networking at the bar or in the hotel rooms later where they're doing blow and fucking hookers, okay? When you go to CPAC, you're not even getting very many people going to the sessions at CPAC to learn how to organize or campaign or do any of those things. I know because I've been to it twice. So I don't ever want to hear conservatives again saying, no one's even at that protest. No one's even at this event. This is just a couple of people. Because when conservatives are left to organize things, the big 250 celebration of America, no one fucking goes.
Not only do we have a lot of people here, we have people that you want to have here, like Stacey Garrity. That woman's going to be next governor of Pennsylvania. There right we there. go. Yep, look at her, the beautiful red hair. And it's because there's tons of people here. It's a huge space.
Man.
That's just a slightly different view there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, from what we've been seeing, I mean, really empty. And I can't put it in any other way than, you know, there's a part of this, I think, even for our political opponents, even for the right. I mean, there's just not that folks can feel very enthusiastic right now. I mean,
yep.
You know, the United States is participating in the genocide in Gaza, launched this stupid, disastrous war with Iran. We now are being graced right now where the Democratic Socialist movement in this country is now igniting the older struggles for socialism in this country, the Socialist Party. And I'm thinking about figures like Eugene Debs. I'm thinking about figures like I write about in my book, The Myth of Red Texas, and the Texas Socialist Party, and this really grand American socialist tradition that is.
He wrote a book called The Myth of Red Texas, probably because Texas is going to be turning blue pretty soon.
Too often been forgotten. And that brings me to somebody like Eugene Debs. Eugene Debs, somebody who I respect immensely. Everybody watching this is probably familiar with him, but if you aren't, this is a man who was a labor leader who fought tooth and nail against the power of the bosses at a period of time in American history where capitalists weren't afraid to do things like hire armed guards to attack striking workers.
We should do that again.
This incredible American labor leader.
Actually, what a W fucking idea. What a W fucking idea. Why wouldn't we have armed guards attacking striking workers? Why wouldn't we do that? Those assholes are trying to shut down the economy. The left is planning to build up to a mass general strike in May of 2028 to literally shut down the economy. When the left attempts to shut down the economy, can we please hire armed thugs to beat the fucking shit out of them? Because they're trying to overthrow the country. They're trying to shut down our economy and fuck up our entire way of life. I think the very least that we could be doing is hiring armed thugs to beat the shit out of them. 1 in the chat if you agree with me, 2 in the chat if you think I'm going too far. Let's make a deal, leftists. You guys want to shut down every aspect of the economy for an extended period of time? We don't want you to do that, and we're going to scare the shit out of you to prevent you from succeeding. I don't think I'm being unreasonable. I think some armed thugs would fix a lot of fucking problems. Can we also send them to the ICE facilities, please? Can we also send them to take care of all the protesters at the ICE facilities? What a W fucking idea.
This time he just kind of sees there's a distinction between politics and labor organizing. Until he ends up coming to socialism. He comes to socialism with the extreme commitment to the movement. You know, there's been a lot of people who I think really misunderstand Debs, and a lot of snobbery about him because he comes from the working class. Oh, that he didn't understand socialism, that he just used these words because he knew they were scary. No, if you read Debs, if you spend any time looking at Debs as a historical figure, as an orator, as a writer, as a political theorist, this is somebody who had a very sophisticated understanding of not just socialism in a general sense, but Marxism specifically. Anyway, he ends up becoming running for president multiple times, including very famously running for president from a jail cell. He's somebody who traveled the country very famously, would travel around Texas at these huge encampments that we would have in this state, thousands and thousands and thousands of Texans listening to to the great Eugene Debs. And he was very influential in also trying to build up the labor movement in the South. So somebody I'm immensely grateful for, obviously an inspiration to all of us, an inspiration to figures like Bernie Sanders. And he has this really great speech that he gave on Independence Day that I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's way too long. We'll put a link below. People should definitely read it. But there's just a few lines in here that I figured we could get to that might tie us to the conversation we're about to have with Harvey K. In it, Debs makes the arguments that we make, and we understand, I think, very well, that the American Revolution was a significant revolution, was a significant break from the power of the rich and the powerful, but specifically from that dead and miserable idea of aristocracy and monarchy. But while it was a revolution that really broke down a lot of those doors, it was a revolution that was incomplete, right? It was a constitution. It was a system that was not designed for the everyday people to flourish. It was also a revolution that enshrined and protected one of the most odious systems in human history, chattel slavery. Debs looks at this American history with clear eyes of both like the liberatory potential of it, what it means for working people, but without sugarcoating this history. He notes that the figures in the fights against slavery were really a kind of a purifying moment in American history, and notes that among one of the great American heroes of all time is that hero, John Brown. He then goes on to connect the fight against slavery, very importantly, to the labor fight that is happening in the U.S. then.
CB!
Continues.
W's for the gifted channel membership. Thanks so much, CB. Appreciate you very much. Everyone give W's to CB, guys. We always give W's when people give channel memberships.
Today,
because it's a nice thing to do.
This kind of old form of chattel slavery has been replaced with this form of wage slavery, with the dictatorship of the bosses, with the undemocratic power of the privileged few. He also notes some of the pitfalls of patriotism, let's say, or nationalism, to be more accurate. I'll read just a little bit, some little bits here that I wanted to highlight for us. Quote, "I am a patriot, but in the sense that I love all countries. I love the sentiment of William L. Garrison, quote, all the world is my country and all mankind are my countrymen. Thomas Jefferson once said, where liberty is my country. That is good." Deb says, Thomas Paine says, where liberty is honored, that is my country. That is better. And then Debs adds, where liberty is not, socialism has a mission, and therefore the mission of socialism is as wide as the world. And I think that's a really great example of the way that Debs is able to kind of thread these lines. He has this about socialism that I feel like is very rousing. He says, a man has to be a master or a slave. He will have either to wield a lash or hold the plow. Socialism proposes to free them both and level them both up to the plane of manhood. Whatever walk of life, constant struggle is going forward. Man is arrayed against man, nation against nation, and all due to the capitalist system. The survival of the fittest is a survival of cunning over conscience. Business means doing somebody else. And in their struggle, the middle class loses in economic power. Men are driven to dishonesty in the system. They suspect each other, not because they do not know each other, but because they do. It is a mock civilization. Socialism will give humanity a new world. And this, from the very end, I think will bring us into our conversation with Harvey K. very well. I like the 4th of July. It breathes a spirit of revolution. On this day, we reaffirm the ultimate triumph of socialism. It is coming as certain as I stand in your presence. Trials are not to be regretted. They are.
On the 4th of July, they are celebrating the ultimate triumph of socialism. Really think about that. This is the socialist history of what they believe about the 4th of July. They believe that declaring independence from your oppressors was a socialist revolution, and then everything got fucked up when the Constitution was made about property. But they believe the declaring of independence, the overthrowing of your masters, was a socialist revolution, and so they will celebrate the 4th of July as the ultimate triumph of socialism, but perhaps leading to an unfulfilled socialist revolution in this country. I promise you this is where this is going. I've heard them say this before. Hey, thanks so much for the super sticker, Filthy Angry Present. Irish present, excuse me. Appreciate it very much.
I like the 4th of July. It breathes a spirit of revolution. On this day, we reaffirm the ultimate triumph of socialism. It is coming as certain as I stand in your presence. Trials are not to be regretted. They are a part and necessary part of the development. We may disagree. We may divide. It is possible that we shall quarrel and still be perfectly honest. The development demands it all. We are all subscribers to the same fundamental principles. We all stand upon the same uncompromising platform. We all have our faces turned toward the economic dawn. We are battling for the triumph of the producers of the world. We are in touch with the international socialists of the world. With our ears turned down, we can hear the thrones totter before the great march of the international hosts of socialism. So do not be discouraged for a single instant. If you have the courage of your convictions, you can face the universe. Friends, I'm really excited to share this conversation with Harvey J.K., with all of y'all. Please, if you haven't, pick up the new edition of Jacobin Magazine, 1776. It is a really deep look, both in praise and in criticism.
As a reminder, we do not debunk them. Also, they don't believe that they're lying. This is explicitly against the rules of Socialism Saturday. There's a reason we don't debunk them, because when you guys are debunking them, all you're doing is waiting to talk instead of listening to what they're saying. This is about understanding what they believe. I don't give a flying fuck what you think about it. It doesn't matter.
Of this American project. I hope you'll have a good rest of your week and a happy July 4th weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in the Jacobin Show. Here we are with Harvey K. I am so thrilled to bring on to the Jacobin Show one of my friends, one of my mentors, a man who needs no introductions, but we will give him one anyway, Harvey J.K. Harvey is a professor, an incredible writer, and author of many great books, including Take Hold of Our History, Thomas Paine and the Promise of America, The Fight for Four Freedoms, The British Marxist Historians.
Yeah, again, it doesn't matter. It does not matter if you agree with their interpretation of history. I appreciate the super chat. It does not matter if you like what they have to say. It does not matter if you agree with what they have to say. It does not matter if you disagree with what they have to say. It does not matter if you debunk what they have to say by saying this isn't true and this is it doesn't fucking matter, guys. Your feelings and your opinions do not matter. What we are doing on this channel is studying the left. The only thing that matters is what they believe is true. They are taking action based on what they believe is true. They are organizing based on what they believe is true. And I promise you, they don't give a flying fuck what you think about it. So on this channel, we do not debunk them. We do not talk about all the ways in which they're wrong. We do not complain about hearing things that we don't like. We are studying them to understand them so we can predict what they're doing next. Debunking them has never solved any problem ever. Right-wingers really think that they win if they go, excuse me, that's not correct. They don't give a fuck. They don't care. In fact, they can't hear you. And so all the time you guys spend talking, saying, here are all the reasons they are wrong and I am right and they don't understand. All you're doing is shutting your brain off to listening. I need you to be listening to understand them, not listening to debunk them. And I promise you, you're going to learn so much more if you literally just shut the fuck up and listen.
People should definitely pick up if they haven't, and much more. Harvey, thank you so much for coming on the Jackman Show today.
Thank you. In fact, what's interesting to me today is, you know how much I adore you and Matt together, okay? Mm-hmm. Is that this is the first time it's just you and me doing something.
It's true. It's true. I'll have to give Matt a little bit of a firm talking to about it, but I'm sure I know he's very jealous about this. And Matt's always really appreciated Harvey's work, as I'm sure many of the people watching the program today are as well. I mean, Harvey, there's a lot of talk about what this anniversary, this 250th anniversary of this country means. A lot of reflection, much of that is good. But I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the kind of radical promises in the American project and in American history, because I think a lot of times on the left, we've been really good at, let's say, debunking myths and kind of pulling our heroes down to earth. But I think it's also really important for us to have heroes and understand what this project's really been about. So I want to talk to you a little bit about this the American project in general, but maybe to get us started, we could think about somebody like Thomas Paine, who I think there's been a resurgence, obviously influenced by you, of people on the left looking at Thomas Paine, but he's also a figure that you'll see quoted by folks like Glenn Beck and right-wingers as well. So kind of, bring Thomas Paine to life for us. I mean, why is this figure so important, especially for people on the left?
Okay, I'm not going to go through the full story because I know we have limited time, but I do want to say that, speaking of heroes, Thomas Paine has been my hero since I'm 10 years old. When I discovered him in Brooklyn in my grandfather's apartment in a book, a book my grandfather had. But the thing about Thomas Paine is this. Thomas Paine didn't come to America from England until his very late 30s. And that was in late 1774. And he was encouraged to come over by Benjamin Franklin, who was there in many ways representing America as the Postmaster General or whatever the title might have been. But more importantly is that Franklin was secretly recruiting people to what he believed was the American Rebellion. It wasn't a revolution yet. And we don't know if when he encouraged Paine to come to America, Paine was definitely already something of a rebel. He was just fired by the British government for having been involved in organizing tax collectors, basically, which was illegal. You couldn't organize, period. Let's make that clear. So he's sacked, as the English would say, by the British government. And Franklin encourages him to come to America. And he gives him a letter of introduction. He says, well, when you get to Philadelphia, you'll introduce yourself to my son-in-law, blah, blah, blah. And could Paine ever have imagined what he was going to discover in America? He arrives in Philadelphia. And he sees, remember, a lot of people don't realize it, by late 1774, decidedly into 1775, Americans were in a state of rebellion. And what they were rebelling for was the rights of Englishmen. Okay, the Republicans in particular, they say, well, and now that they allow themselves to quote Paine, this was a struggle for no taxation without representation. But it really was deeper than just taxes. It was no way should you be able to speak for us, they were telling British Parliament, okay? No, if you like, no legislation to govern activity, economic activity, political activity, and other kinds of things. And Paine is just astonished at if you like, anarchists love this moment, you might say.
This is, I think it's a great question. What about Harvey is a professor? Do conservatives not understand? This person is teaching your children. He has a job, an influential job for decades.
It's this self-government, really self-government. Who needs kings? Who needs aristocrats? Who needs bosses for that matter? And what Paine does is he is so impressed, he truly falls in love with America. To make a long story short, he ends up being convinced by a member of the Continental Congress to write a pamphlet to call on Americans to separate from Britain. Now, Paine writes the pamphlet, Common Sense, takes him quite a while to do it. It comes out in January 1776. And what he does in this pamphlet is he holds up a mirror to Americans, basically. He says, he lays out revolutionary possibilities. And in fact, the first thing he talks about, without ever using the word, is democracy. And he implies that democracy is inherent in all of us. In other words, yes, we're naturally sociable, and out of that sociability, we become democratically active. And he uses that to convince Americans, again, to see themselves as capable of making a revolution. In fact, he once said, if the American Revolution was only about independence, it wouldn't have been worth doing. It had to do with creating a democratic republic. So what happens? Within weeks, it takes off. It becomes one of the best sellers in American history. Now, Paine doesn't stop at that. Okay, he goes on. He for a while he serves in the Continental Army. He goes on later, alongside of Washington. He's with the troops, and Washington and others convince him to write again because the revolution is about to collapse. And then he writes what to some people is the pamphlet that matters immensely, because if you're going to create a revolution, how are you going to sustain it? He writes The American Crisis with the famous line, "These are the times and try men's souls." Now, throughout the revolution, he continues to write American Crisis papers, and he becomes...
Were you not listening when I explicitly said we do not debunk that it is against the rules? This is not allowed here. I see you doing this again. You're okay. Well, welcome. Debunking them is against the rules. No one gives a fuck about your opinion. This is about learning and understanding.
If you like.
They're canceling the DC fireworks? That sucks. That sucks.
Voice in the American Revolution. In fact, believe me, it's not just my admiration for him that says this. Historians who are not on the left have said Common Sense during the revolutionary years was the most important text document. Words, not the Declaration.
Is it raining or something?
It's only later that the Declaration comes to be embraced as the text of the American Revolution. Well, Paine was not liked by the elite of the Patriots, the likes of a guy named Gouverneur Morris. John Adams feared Paine in some ways, and I'm convinced when Adams gets Paine to be a part of, if you like, the new American government, he's supposed to be the secretary to the Committee on Foreign Affairs. I think it's because Adams knew what that old line, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. I have this feeling that was his idea. And I'll just say that one of the reasons I think he feared him is that when he bought 3 copies of Common Sense, Adams himself, when it had first appeared, he sent one of the copies up to New England to his wife, Abigail. And when she read it, she made it clear that she favored the idea of this revolution, but they better not, classic line, everyone knows it, I hope, from their school years, remember the ladies. Don't forget the ladies, because if you do forget us, we're going to come to Philadelphia and make a revolution of our own. And Adams' reply is, everyone knows the line, remember the ladies. They don't know Adams' reply. The reply was, not you too, the biggest tribe of all. We've already heard the slaves are rebelling on their plantations. The students are rebelling at the colleges like Harvard, Yale, William and Mary. That apprentices are rising up against their masters. I mean, all of this is taking place. That's the testimony by John Adams that these words have literally sparked, lit a fire. So that's Thomas Paine. How can you not love this guy, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that this is a really important bit, and I know why this is so important to you, and why you've written so much and well on this. Is that I think, again, like on the left, there's a way of looking at the American Revolution and recognizing the contradictions that we both do, right? This was a revolution that, yes, brought the United States out from under British control, but also, maintained slavery, limited the right to vote. But there is this really radical democratic
Slavery being property ownership. The definition of capitalism is private property ownership.
promise in Paine, as well as there were these kind of uprisings as well happening at the time that we should recognize as a part of this tradition and a part of this revolution, instead of just seeing maybe the
hey, that's good. That means we have more time for Socialism Saturday. Yay us.
incomplete version that comes into being under the founders. Is that a fair way of kind of framing it?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, first thing to remember is never to forget that Paine himself comes out of what is essentially a working class family, an artisan family. And when he does arrive in Philadelphia, and I should have noted this, there is one thing that disturbs him terribly, and it's slavery. Basically, he asks, how is it possible that a people talking about liberty and freedom and having overthrown the powers that be can allow for the continuation of slavery? Had it been up to Paine and vast numbers of others, especially in the North, there would have been the abolition of slavery. And we shouldn't forget, and I'm not looking for a way to absolve anyone, we shouldn't forget that it's the American Revolution that really launches the abolitionist movement in this country.
I think that's important.
It is the American Revolution that launches the abolitionist tradition. Okay.
Important to note. No, I think that's a very important thing to note, especially today, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Now, the other thing, which I think connects our work, your work and mine so much, is that within the years following the revolution, Paine becomes, people come to hate him, the elites. Paine's words are revolutionary. They're radical. He goes on to write in the French Revolution, Rights of Man. He goes on beyond that to write Age of Reason, a challenge. He throws a challenge, really a challenge, at organized religion. He believes in God. He even talks about believing in a hereafter, but he doesn't believe the Bible is the word of God. Okay, he's a deist. Okay, which utterly antagonizes the powers that be. He's already antagonized the property any number of times. He's now antagonized the pious. Okay, he's definitely antagonized the pompous. Okay, now then he writes a pamphlet which very few people remember. You'd have to study this stuff to know it. It's in all the collections. Agrarian Justice. Maybe that's what puts people off. Agrarian Justice. They don't realize this is the first call in the world for social security system. And it's a call that not only proposes for those aging, reaching a certain age of maturity, 55, 60, to be able to not have to work. It includes a call for giving monies, stakes, grants to young people when they reach an age of maturity, 16 or 18, I don't remember the year, with the idea that way it'll give them a start in life. And it's a way of preventing, not just eliminating poverty, but preventing poverty to begin with. So he does all this, and you can imagine any number of people being shocked, from the religious sector to the business sector. Nevertheless, the American promise, whether it's from Paine's Common Sense or the Declaration, that is never forgotten. And the best way of challenging the powers that be, to begin with, is to hold them to account for the kinds of things that they propagate in schools and in what do they call it? National holidays and so on. So every movement from 1800 right through in the 20th century, and I can possibly speak more recently of others, but most importantly, every single movement that sought to lay claim to the
Milk and Cornbread, thank you so much for the gifted channel membership, sir. Appreciate it. W's to you, my friend.
promise of fundamental equality and life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, the first thing they did is they laid claim to Thomas Paine and the Declaration, to common sense, the crisis, and so on. He became the champion. I mean, the story was, and that's what makes my book somewhat unique, something every historian aspires to, is that everyone thought Paine was the forgotten founder, but every single generation.
So what they're really saying, guys, the basic premise of this is that the American Revolution was the beginning of the socialist revolution in America that has gone unfulfilled. They don't believe, and we know because we heard them say this the other day, they don't believe the revolution is fully complete. If you were paying attention, earlier in this presentation, they called the Civil War the Second American Revolution. Did anyone catch that? They called the Civil War, the abolition of slavery, the Second American Revolution. And we heard them say the other day, and I'm pretty sure this was in the PSL webinar that we did for Spy Stream, they believe the American Revolution is still unfulfilled. There's still another revolution that needs to happen, and that revolution is to overthrow the capitalist system and bring us to socialism. So you had the initial American Revolution, which was a rebellion against the monarchy. Monarchy is a hierarchy. Monarchy is one of the things that socialists hate because it is an absolute hierarchy. There is no way to unhierarchy the monarchy, okay? So the first American Revolution, according to them, was the American Revolution against the monarchy. The second American Revolution was the Civil War, the abolition of slavery. And there is still to come another American Revolution in which they will finally, at long last, throw off the oppressive chains of their masters and overthrow capitalism, abolish the current constitution, rewrite a new one. We have them on video saying this from 2 days ago. They'll completely get rid of most of our government. They will form an entirely new system of government that centers around a giant-ass people's assembly with no House of Representatives, no courts, no electoral college, no Senate, no White House. We literally had them on video saying this from 2 days ago. I just haven't released the clip yet because it was July 4th and I didn't think people would be paying attention. So that's what we're talking about here, okay? Does everyone understand? One in the chat if you understand what I just explained, two in the chat if you're confused. Let me know.
Of liberals, progressives, radicals, socialists, populists, as you know, progressives, and so on, they all laid claim to Paine and made him their champion because it gave them a right to lay claim to the American Revolution. So, you know.
Well, I want to ask you then, Harvey, as a historian, as a scholar of Paine, you know, what is the advantage? What is the importance of laying claim to the American Revolution? Isn't our kind of kingdom in the future?
Glad you asked. Okay. You know, I'm convinced, given the conversation. I mean, I'm old enough now to know that I'm drawing on lots of experience when I say this. Americans still carry around a fundamental notion that this is supposed to be a damn good place to live and grow and do things. You know, again, life, living, the pursuit of happiness. Americans, they may not be able to tell you about the Declaration or tell you about common sense, but they know they have certain kinds of rights. Look, I mean, even bizarrely, folks on the right cannot resist grabbing hold of the very things that they don't have a right to lay claim to quite often. Okay. Newt Gingrich, I don't know if you all remember Newt Gingrich, but Newt Gingrich used to love to talk about the Declaration of Independence. And I used to ask myself, how utterly uneducated these people are. Declaration of Independence doesn't talk about God. It doesn't mention God exactly. It mentions the creator. It was a deist text. All these guys who were the key founders were deists, right? The Constitution of the United States, we the people. I know the flaws in the Constitution. That's a text that promises a government of we the people. The powers of the people are essentially authorized in that text. And what does he do? He tries to tell us that these are godly testaments. Folks like him try to do that. But no, there's no mention at all of God in the Constitution. And in fact, they don't even mention religious oaths or that you'd have to take an oath in order to become. I mean, the idea of putting your hand on the Bible is not in the Constitution.
Absolutely.
So what's the value? If we're going to speak to our fellow Americans, whether they're native born or newly arrived, we should be speaking to them in a way that they can immediately take hold of in their own imaginations, because yes, that's what this is supposed to be about. What do we do about it?
Yeah, and I mean, I want to kind of talk about that tradition a little bit more with you here, Harvey. I mean, who are like the people in the kind of Thomas Paine's kind of mind, right? Talk about this process of like democracy as like a social act, as a collective act, but as an act that is incorporating the working class or the common people, whatever phrasing that we'd like to use there. But talk about that concept of democracy there, because I think that is a really radical and revolutionary aspect as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's start with the fact that our democracy is totally it's swamped by billionaires. I mean, right now, okay? But notice that even as it's swamped by billionaires, we've been able to see a turning upside down of the world, okay? I mean, neither you and I nor I are living in New York City, but we both have done so at times. And the fact is that what we've seen in New York City, people are winning who are socialists, or as I would have said, social democrats, okay, despite the billionaire class. Look, our friend up in Maine, Graham Plattner, enters Graham Plattner's in many ways a sort of exactly the person. I mean, Paine would take incredible pleasure in knowing of Graham Plattner's campaign. And by the way, Graham Plattner takes great pleasure in being able to quote Thomas Paine on the campaign trail. I can tell you that from having heard him on social media and spent a week with him. And I'm glad to say that he's read all my books, which also adds to my enthusiasm. But it is the case that these folks who I think, by the way, I think we're right now we're at a turning point. Okay. 50 years of class war, 50 years of class war against the democratic achievements of generations, against the lives of working people, whether we call them middle class or working class. The fact is that there's a point at which people say enough is enough. And I don't want to go into the whole sociology of how that may have happened, but I would remind everyone in 2015 and 16, this was a survey that was done, which nobody liked to talk about amongst all the polls, that people were asked, what kind of change would you like to see in America? And I don't have the exact number right now, but the majority of Americans checked radical. Now,
wow.
Keep in mind, the choices in 2015-16 were Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders on the Democratic side, and Donald Trump and a whole host of clown car figures on the Republican side. So what happens? Well, the Democrats go out of their way to prevent Bernie from gaining the nomination, but he's enthused incredibly an under 40-year-old generation of Americans, right? Now, it's also the case that in those years, there was a whole host of movements that emerged. To begin with, back in 2010, 2011, you had the Wisconsin Rising, you had Occupy, and in the years that followed, you had the Fight for 15, you had the anti-fracking. I mean, all over the country, you saw the emergence of these movements. The Moral Monday movement down in North Carolina, the teacher strikes that occurred on a vast scale in, I guess it was West Virginia, down in, I'm forgetting all the states, but Chicago being Chicago being the prime example, because they were supremely well organized in Chicago and changed the politics of the city once again. So if you think about it like that, it's that kind of percolation of spirit, right? And though it's also the case that there wasn't yet any kind of unifying vision. necessarily. What we see today, is it a unifying vision? I'd like to think so. Is it specifically socialist? Not exactly. It's social democratic, but I could tell you what we need is a damn good social democratic socialist movement.
See,
to
and
reclaim America.
And this is what I say when I say Jacobin generally is not the farthest of the far left. I usually don't even like listening to Jacobin because I find them to be very kind of like milquetoast socialists. They usually never say anything that's like really that interesting. The perspective on this is what I wanted, though. I wanted specifically to know what were their thoughts about July 4th, but this guy and the guy interviewing him are not, they're not revolutionary socialists. They're really not. Now, they're socialists. They're like DSA type socialists. They believe in small reforms over time. I'm not saying it's insignificant, but it's like Jacobin never gives us like the crazy leftist shit, which is why I don't really pay attention to them, honestly.
Pursue an agenda on my own selfishly I put it this way because I've been working on it a lot and advancing it, is the idea of an economic bill of rights, which by the way, my friend Graham Plattner has also embraced, just for the record.
Well, let's talk a little bit, zoom out a little bit. People who are kind of learning about you for the first time, or maybe only know you mainly for FDR and pain stuff, may not know that Harvey is, very much an internationalist and has written about many, many, many topics, of course. I wanted to kind of ask you, for our international audience, what is the importance of the American Revolution for the planet? I mean, this magazine is obviously called Jacobin Magazine. Most people are fairly familiar with the influence of the French Revolution globally. Could you talk a little bit about what the American Revolution has meant historically for the world?
Yeah, well, the first thing is there's some really good books on this, and I can't remember the titles necessarily, but the Declaration of Independence became a model for independence manifestos. It included not only, by the way, the American Revolution is the cause from a foreign source of the French Revolution. And the French Revolution had its own upheavals and its own making, its own aspirations. But it was a lot of French soldiers who had fought as part of the French Expeditionary Force in America, went home knowing they had just fought for an American Revolution that wanted a republic. And when they got back to France, they knew what needed to be done. That's first. But it's also the case that, is interestingly enough, when Common Sense came out, it was almost immediately translated into German. Why? Because Philadelphia had vast numbers of German immigrants living there. And it got translated and placed on a ship, presumably to Hamburg, and Common Sense became the text by which German radicals and leftists and liberals, I use the word liberal because liberal at that time was a very radical idea, they thought that was what America was all about. And after the Revolution of 1848, which failed, the most radical figures, they emigrated, but so too did vast numbers of working people emigrated to America. And by the way, both Wisconsin and Texas were places where radical Germans settled. I mean, New Braunfels, there are these names that I'm forgetting from years past, but these were
Fredericksburg. I mean, I just wrote a piece.
Go, please.
100%. And I'll just note, for people, I just wrote a piece for my Substack, The Rattler, about these German radicals who fought the Confederacy when the Confederacy was going around conscripting people in the Battle of the Nueces. But yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. And so in a way, you're talking about how this kind of goes to Europe and
then comes back to America.
It goes to Europe and then comes home. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like Elvis Presley's music. It went over and it ends up coming back. Well, on the other hand, but there's something else that's really important here, and I'll skip over many generations. Ho Chi Minh believed that the most revolutionary document in modern history, I'm not even sure he thought it was the Communist Manifesto. He believed it was the Declaration of Independence. It became the inspiration.
Wow.
Really. The tragedy, of course, in that sense, just as
the most communist document in history was the Declaration of Independence. Ho Chi Minh believed the most revolutionary
Well, on the other hand, but there's something else that's really important here, and I'll skip over many generations. Ho Chi Minh believed that the most revolutionary document in modern history, I'm not even sure he thought it was the Communist Manifesto. He believed it was the Declaration of Independence. It became the inspiration, really. The tragedy, of course, in that sense, just as a sidebar to this, you can edit this out if you want, obviously, is that Ho Chi Minh tried to get Wilson at the Versailles, gathering for peace to embrace the nationalist movement in Vietnam, which, in fact, a number of sort of left nationalists who went to Europe to try to meet Wilson were disappointed by Wilson's disinterest. Okay, so.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, I think it is actually a kind of an amazing historical documented testament to the way the American Revolution kind of has been seen internationally as like this great democratic revolution, and then to see the kind of like disgusting nationalistic or imperialist side of America that kind of turns their back on that revolution is disheartening to me as an American, certainly disheartening to all those folks.
And in that vein, I just want to make clear if anyone hears a conservative quoting Thomas Paine, that for 200 years, I kid you not, 200 years, conservatives of every sort, whether they were religious conservatives, political conservatives, or economic conservatives, they despised Paine's memory. They did everything in their power to suppress it. And there's ironies in that. One of the ironies is that it was FDR who first quotes Thomas Paine it's the first president since Jefferson to actually talk about Thomas Paine openly, publicly, and quote him. But all that did is it sort of gave license for liberal political figures to quote Thomas Paine, the American patriot. The first person of consequence, the first president or I should say presidential candidate to quote Paine, the revolutionary, and it's very upsetting to say this again, was Ronald Reagan. He was the one who said, basically, that we have it in our power to begin the world over again. And what he's talking about was to literally bring an end to the long age of Roosevelt in favor of the age of Reagan. Okay. So, let's put it this way. Paine is the hero should be the hero of the left and the hero of working people. And by the way, I believe that's one of the reasons that Reagan quoted Paine is he knew damn well that working people, especially after communists and socialists and others during the 1930s and 40s were quoting him regularly, he knew that there was this kind of affection for Paine that he just really wanted to grab onto if he could somehow bring it over to his side.
Well, Harvey, in closing, I mean, I have a kind of broad question for you, but it's something that, I've been struggling with. I mean, obviously, the country that we're living in right now, there is a lot to be upset about. There's a lot to be ashamed about, frankly.
I think there's a lot to be very worried about, in fact.
I mean, I had a moment kind of recently where I was in Dallas and I was talking to an Iranian who had moved here in the 70s, and he was talking to me as the U.S. was bombing Tehran, and he was just like, "Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?" And I didn't have any answer. You just feel horribly ashamed, and yet I know that there is something that's very important about like this radical revolutionary tradition in this country. I feel a lot of inspiration from my fellow countrymen, seeing people across this country fighting for the better future, both today and throughout the past. And I just wanted to kind of ask you here on this, anniversary, as we do see all of these things from those up on high, these wars on our democratic
Noctina Kotex, intrepid streamer from Portland. W's to you, sir. Thank you so much for the 5 gifted channel memberships. Really, really appreciate your support.
It's these terrors abroad. How should we be feeling about this American project, and how can we work to kind of fight back and reclaim these powerful parts of our history?
Okay, well, first of all, if it helps encourage people, I want to remind them of this. There are 3 times in the American story that Americans have confronted nothing less than mortal crises regarding the promise of America that Paine and the Declaration that the Revolution articulated. 3 times. One was in the 1770s. The second time was in the 1860s. And the third time was in the 1930s and 40s. Okay, so it's the crushing of that American rebellion that becomes a revolution. Had that happened, You know, there were those who claim, well, that would have been better for the world. Well, not a chance. Okay. Number two, the Civil War, and let's not forget, you've got as soon as the war began, slaves were abandoning their plantations and heading north to the Union lines. Lincoln, in 1862, knowing he was going to release the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st of 1863, said, fellow citizens, we know what we need to do. He'd had this confidence. We know what we need to do. The whole world knows what we need to do. And in essence, he declares this is a revolutionary moment where we have to bring an end to slavery. Okay. And I can go on and tell the whole story, and I won't bother. And the third time is the 1930s and 40s, where Roosevelt clearly recognized that America, because of the Gilded Age ruling class, the robber barons, the capitalists who had survived World War I and were still in power in the 1920s and had brought on the Depression themselves, basically, he knew that the real threat to America at that moment was that they would encourage an authoritarian takeover.
Yo, Hans! What's up, bro? 10 gifted channel memberships. I feel like I'm not even doing anything tonight because I'm just listening to this guy's perspective. And he's not saying anything crazy, but you guys are just like, you guys are hooking me up. I appreciate it so much. W's to you, my favorite Black trans Latinx. Appreciate it.
Okay, there were people, elites, who said, well, maybe we could use a good Mussolini in this country to take care of this depression. So what Roosevelt did is he didn't call on Americans to defend the status quo. He lays out, people should look, his platform in 1932 was radical and social democratic. And unfortunately, the left doesn't seem to recognize that. Okay. And literally, they create, lack of a better way of putting it, a real working class transformation of America in the 1930s. With sins of omission, sins of commission, undeniably. But it's that same dynamic which then in the 1960s inspires the civil rights the civil rights movement to become, and essentially with white support as well, a revolution. So here we are now at a moment, we're in a mortal crisis of democracy. Okay, if Democrats win in November, that doesn't change the fact that we have seen 50 years of class war on working people. Okay, that does not change that fact, nor does it guarantee that we're going to do anything about it. You know, no King's Days should be no kings, and as FDR said, and no economic royalists. That's what they should be about. Okay, yeah. So just as those generations, 1770s, 1860s, 1930s, and 40s in the war against fascism, just as they somehow found it in themselves, if you like, to redeem American democratic life by going radical, we have to remind Americans that voting's essential, but it's not sufficient.
Voting is, if you want to go radical, voting is essential, but it's not sufficient. What does that mean? That's probably the most leftist thing this guy has said in this entire show. If you want to go radical, voting is essential, but it is not sufficient. What does that mean? They are not going to vote their way into socialism. They can make progress. They can make reforms. But you are not going to vote your way into socialism because voting is not enough. It is not sufficient to overthrow the capitalist system. It is not sufficient to bring on the next revolution in America, which they believe is going to be a revolution to overthrow the government, revolution to abolish the Constitution, revolution to overthrow capitalism, and usher in socialism to America. The Queen has arrived. Emerald Queen, Cynthia W's, my dear. Green squares in the chat for the Emerald Queen. Thank you so much for the 10 gifted channel memberships, Cynthia. I appreciate you very, very much. Thanks for dropping by on the 4th of July to say hi to us.
That may not answer your question, but that's my best answer.
Yeah. I think it's a phenomenal answer, and I think that there is a lot there, and I appreciate you, Harvey, so much for coming on, and also for all of the help that you've given me in my life, my friend. I appreciate it so much. We will have links below for people to check out Harvey's work if they haven't.
Thank you. And I want to return the compliment. I want everyone to know that when I would go into Michael's show, when I'd show up in Brooklyn and show up with Michael, and you and Matt were there, I always said to him, can I say the F word on your show?
You can say whatever you like.
How the fuck did you get these guys? This is like a highlight of my visits to New York was to be with you three. That's all. Okay.
Well,
thank you.
We were always so happy when you came in the studio. Well, thanks again, Harvey.
All right, guys. Well, that is going to wrap it up for today, because I do want to do a little bit of an abbreviated episode, because I know that some of you want to go watch some fireworks. And so I want to release everyone to the wild so people can go watch some fireworks. But I want to remind you, if you're new here, please make sure you subscribe. Please make sure you check out the Substack, especially the new to my work section. If you're new and you want to deep dive into the language, just scroll down. Go to Re-Education and Anti-Communist Introduction to the Far Left. This is over on my Substack, Karlyn, Karlyn, .substack.com, and that is your deep dive. And I appreciate everyone very much who donated 146 channel memberships. I didn't even think we were going to meet the goal tonight. I was like, people are going to be out doing 4th of July things. I'm probably going to have less people here. I really did think that. I was like, I didn't even think we were going to meet the channel membership goal tonight. I was like, people are going to be outside. They're going to be celebrating. But apparently not. Apparently not. Because you guys blew the goal out of the water tonight. I so appreciate it. Thank you for funding the work that I do. Thank you for allowing me to do this stuff with you guys. I am 100% independently funded by people like you. And the gifted channel memberships and the super chats and the Substack subscriptions, they keep me running. So as I will always show up for you guys when you show up for me. I can't say how much I appreciate it. But now I'm going to release you to the wild. Go watch some fireworks. Happy 4th of July. Happy 250 America. Even though Trump sucks, and even though the left is probably going to win, it's okay to celebrate, because it is actually pretty fucking cool. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And I'm probably not going to stream tomorrow, but I might. We'll see how it goes. And John's sending in one more for the road. John sending in one more for the road. W's, my dear. Thank you so much. Let's add that to the total 147 new channel members today. Appreciate all of you very much. I will see you guys next time. Take care. We'll see you soon.
How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.